Hi guys, it's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Wednesday, January 24th, 2024, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. We have some major breaking news coming in from Europe, Russia, the Middle East, and Asia. I want to start with Russia, though. We have this situation unfolding along the Russian Ukrainian border. Apparently, a Russian plane full of Ukrainian prisoners of war was heading towards the Russian Ukrainian border for a pre agreed upon prisoner exchange with Ukraine and Russia. And this plane was shot down. Now, Russia is blaming Ukraine, saying that Ukraine shot this plane down with their own prisoners of war inside in order to blame Russia for it, to make Russia look bad. Ukraine is saying that Russia shot this plane down. We really don't know the truth. It's hard to say, but there is some video footage that does, in fact, confirm that this plane was shot down. It was not, just an accident. So either Ukraine shot it down or Russia shot it down. I'll let you guys determine what you think, because I know the pro-Russia people are going to say, oh, yeah, the Ukrainians shot down their own prisoners of war, to make Russia look bad. And then the Ukrainian side is going to say, oh, yeah, it was Russia. They shot down all the prisoners. We really don't know. It could have been an air defense missile from Ukraine or Russia that shot it down by accident, but it happened in Belgorod, which is a city right on the border with Ukraine. There was a prisoner exchange that was supposed to take place on the border at the Kala-Talivka checkpoint. Okay, all 63 passengers, which were the Ukrainian POWs that Russia was flying in, did not survive. Okay, and so here we have this video, and you can see some type of missile went kaboom in midair right where this plane was flying, and then shortly after it crashed. Okay, so here you can see the thick black smoke coming out, and that thick black smoke is from the plane when it crashed. Okay, so you can see here a small plume of smoke in the middle of the air. That's from the missile hitting the plane. And then here you can see the giant black cloud of smoke from the actual plane. Okay. So I don't know what to think of this, guys, but this is very, very serious, and tensions are at an all-time high between Russia and NATO, as NATO has begun their largest military exercise since 1988, involving 90,000 troops, hundreds of warships and fighter jets, and thousands of tanks and armored vehicles. And this is all happening right on Russia's border with NATO. Okay. This is right in the eastern part of NATO where these exercises are taking place, from Norway all the way down to Romania. And Moldova is going to be hosting troops during this exercise. And before I continue with the breaking news, I just want to announce the 100,000 subscriber giveaway winners. Now, I posted the winners in my community page. So if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see on the top videos, shorts, live, playlists, community, membership. Click community, and you'll see 100,000 subscriber giveaway winners. So email me, guys, if you're one of these people. Send me an email, and also include the state where you live, okay, in your email. And in the subject, just put 100,000 subscriber giveaway winner, and then put your name, address, obviously your state where you live, because you're going to have to give me your address so I can ship your prize out. But thank you guys for participating. I really appreciate it. And we have some more breaking news coming in about Russia. Apparently, Russia has warned that the massive NATO military drills could provoke a military incident. A British Army general says the UK needs to prepare for an all-out war with Russia, including drafting young people. And an Israeli minister said Iran is now a legitimate target. Hezbollah launched more missiles into northern Israel. The U.S. intercepted 3 missiles in the Red Sea that were aimed at commercial ships earlier today. And multiple U.S. bases have been hit by Iranian proxies today. The Iraqi government is filing a complaint against the United States at the UN Security Council for their recent operation in Iraq against the Iranian proxies. They said it was a violation of their territorial integrity and sovereignty. And the farmers' protests in Europe are now spreading to multiple countries. We have Poland now involved with these farmers' protests. We have hundreds, if not thousands, of farmers in Poland taking to the streets with their tractors, blocking traffic. So I want to just read to you a little bit more about this plane that went down in Belgorod. So the head of the Russian State Duma Committee on Defense, Kartopolov, is claiming that this plane was shot down by 3 Patriot or Iris-T missiles. Okay. And Newsweek is reporting that Russia is warning that NATO drills could provoke military incidents. NATO's decision to launch its largest military exercise in more than 35 years could provoke military incidents, Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister Alexander Grushko has warned. Grushko spoke with Russian state-run news agency RIA Novosti. These exercises are another element of the hybrid war unleashed by the West against Russia, Grushko said in the interview, which was published on Sunday. An exercise of this scale marks the final and irrevocable return of NATO to the Cold War schemes when the military planning process, resources, and infrastructure are being prepared for confrontation with Russia, Grushko said. He warned that any events of this scale significantly increase the risk of military incidents and further destabilize the security situation. Okay, so this is huge news, guys. Dutch Admiral Rob Bauer, chairman of the NATO Military Security Council, said the 90,000 military personnel represent a record number of troops that we can bring to bear and have an exercise within that size across the alliance, across the ocean from the US to Europe. It marks the largest number of troops used by NATO in a military drill since the Cold War, when 125,000 soldiers were used in a 1988 exercise dubbed Reforger. So this is huge news, guys, and Putin is on his way to Kaliningrad right now. He may have already arrived, actually. He hasn't been to Kaliningrad in a very, very long time, and Russia has activated their dead hand system. Okay, the dead hand system is a computer algorithm or a computer system designed to auto-launch the Russian nuclear arsenal. In the event that the Russian generals get wiped out, this computer would make sure that Russia's nuclear arsenal can launch itself without any humans around. Okay. And here we have a shortwave radio enthusiast who filmed himself going through various frequencies, and you can hear the Russian dead hand system making this noise. It's like a ticking noise every 1 second or so on dozens of frequencies, and it's broadcasting worldwide. And this basically lets people know that the dead hand system has been turned on. And the last time it was turned on was in 1991. Okay. So nobody knows what the purpose of this ticking noise is, but we do know that it is part of the dead hand system. And my guess is it's probably similar to like a car alarm or a house alarm when you arm your car alarm, you'll see that blinking red light, or when you turn your house alarm on, you'll see that blinking light. And here we have NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg. He's the leader of NATO, saying that NATO is going to be spending $1 billion on hundreds of thousands of 155 millimeter artillery shells. Guys, you don't need hundreds of thousands of artillery shells unless you're going to war, a major war, okay?
Just concluded contracts worth 1.2 billion US dollars to buy hundreds of thousands of rounds of 155 millimeter artillery ammunition.
And British citizens should be prepared to fight in a potential land war, the highest ranking Army officer, General Patrick Sanders, said today. This is coming from the Insider paper. The chief of the General Staff said any conflict would need to be a whole-of-nation undertaking and that citizens should be trained and equipped to be in a state of readiness, taking preparatory steps to enable placing our societies on a war footing when needed are now not merely desirable, but essential, Sanders said in a speech at an armored vehicles conference in southwest London. We must be able to credibly fight and win wars on land. UK allies were already doing so, he said. Our friends in Eastern and Northern Europe who feel the proximity of the Russian threat more acutely are already acting prudently, laying the foundations for national mobilization, he added. Ukraine brutally illustrates that regular armies start wars and citizen armies win wars. Last week, the chair of NATO's military committee, Admiral Rob Bauer, said civilians in member states should be prepared for a potential future war with Russia. A large number of civilians would have to be called up if conflict accelerates in Europe, he added. Earlier this month, UK Defense Secretary Grant Shapps said that the UK wants to increase defense spending from 2.1% of GDP to 2.5%. In a speech last week, the minister said that the world was moving from a post-war to a pre-war world. He said the UK must ensure its entire defense ecosystem is ready to defend its homeland. Richard Denott, who was chief of the General Staff from 2006 to 2009, compared the current situation to the 1930s when the woeful state of the UK's armed forces failed to deter Nazi aggression. There is a serious danger of history repeating itself, he wrote in the Times newspaper last week, calling for UK defense spending to reach 3% of GDP. If our armed forces are not strong enough to deter future aggression from Moscow or Beijing, it will not be a small war to contend with, but a major one. Okay, so very, very serious, guys. Okay, former generals and current generals warning that Britain and Europe need to be prepared, and the citizens need to be prepared. Okay, the current army General Patrick Sanders in the UK saying that citizens need to be trained and equipped to be in a state of readiness. Okay, saying that our societies need to be on a war footing. And he's not the first guy to say this. Okay, there was the general from Denmark saying the same thing, that people need to stockpile batteries and food and water, okay, to be prepared for a full-scale war with Russia. So we have multiple generals in NATO warning that we need to be prepared for a war with Russia. We had that leaked German document saying that Russia could invade the Baltics this fall. And this update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply has brought back their 25% discount on their 3-month emergency food supply. And to get the deal, you have to go to preparewithnYprepper.com, and the link is in the description below this video. And this 3-month emergency food supply has a 25-year shelf life and includes over 2,000 calories per day. All of this food is stored within 6 rugged, water-resistant buckets, and free shipping is included. And My Patriot Supply is also doing a 30% discount on the Vesta self-powered indoor space heater and stove. With this thing, you can safely heat and cook indoors. You don't have to worry about carbon monoxide poisoning. You don't have to worry about burning your house down. It uses special canned heat, and it comes with 24 cans. Each can will last you 6 hours and can warm up a room of 200 square feet. So to get the deal, also go to preparewithnyprepper.com. And also, My Patriot Supply has a general store where they sell all kinds of prepping and survival items. To get to that store, you just click on the My Patriot Supply logo at the top of the page, and it'll take you to their general store. And they have all different kinds of discounts here on various items. They have MREs, they have water filters, they have potassium iodides, fire starters, anything you can imagine. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get 25% off of the My Patriot Supply 3-month emergency food supply and 30% off of the Vesta indoor space heater and stove. And we had the Baltic countries saying that they're going to build a defense line. And I did some basic math, and I found out that Estonia is going to be putting in one bunker every 500 meters along their border with Russia, because Estonia said they were going to build 600 bunkers along their border with Russia. So their border with Russia is 201 miles. So that amounts to one bunker every 500 meters, or every 1/3 of a mile. That is crazy, guys. Okay, so Estonia is not messing around. And the prime minister of Ukraine said that Ukraine is building a 3-tier defense line in all directions. And the shipping company Maersk says 2 of its ships attempted to transit the Bab al-Mandeb Strait today when they turned back after seeing kabooms nearby. Maersk says while en route, both ships saw kabooms nearby, and it says the U.S. Navy intercepted several projectiles. Okay, and here we have an official announcement from U.S. Central Command. It says on January 24th at approximately 2 p.m. Yemen time, Iranian-backed Houthi terrorists fired 3 anti-ship ballistic missiles from Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen toward the U.S.-flagged, owned, and operated container ship, the Maersk Detroit, transiting the Gulf of Aden. 1 missile impacted in the sea. The other 2 missiles were successfully engaged and shot down by the USS Gravely. So the situation in the Red Sea is just continuing to get worse and worse, guys, okay? The Houthis have not been deterred by the U.S. operations so far. And we have this maritime journalist, Sal Mercogliano, saying that U.S. carriers are telling him that they have suspended further transit through the Bab al-Mandeb Strait until the U.S. Fifth Fleet can provide direct escorts. Okay, so a lot of U.S. shipping companies, he said one major U.S. carrier is suspending further transit until they can get escorts from the U.S. Fifth Fleet. Okay, that is pretty serious, guys. They want military escorts now. And so the Biden administration just looks so weak and so incompetent with all these different events around the world. And we're hearing that multiple U.S. bases have been hit by Iranian proxies today. The Islamic resistance in Iraq claimed responsibility for hitting the Conoco base in eastern Syria, the Erbil airport base in Iraq, and the Al-Assad base in Iraq. They used missiles and drones. And we also have some information coming in that apparently the U.S. Army is leaving Syria. Several sources are confirming this. So we're pulling out of Syria now. Wow, guys, that just makes us look even more weak. And the Iraqi government will file a complaint with the UN Security Council over the U.S. launching operations on their territory against Iranian proxies. The Iraqi government announced in a statement that attacking military bases is a violation of Iraqi sovereignty and a disregard for the security agreement between Washington and Baghdad, we will take all legal measures against the U.S. attack, including filing a complaint with the Security Council. Wow, guys. So the Iraqi government is basically stabbing us in the back, okay? And Iran is now a legitimate target for Israeli missile strikes. Israeli Minister Nur Barkat said today, he told the Telegraph of Israel that they can afford to keep fighting, and that as big as the crisis is, it is also a really big opportunity. Okay, so opportunity to potentially take out Iran. And the strategic cooperation document between Russia and Iran has been finalized. Russia's security chief Nikolai Patrushev confirmed the signing of a defense agreement between Iran and Russia. And apparently now Iran and Russia will have unprecedented defense and security cooperation. I don't know if this means that Iran is going to fall under Russia's nuclear umbrella, but if Nikolai Patrushev was involved, that means it's very serious, because Patrushev is basically as powerful, if not more powerful, than Putin in Russia. Okay, he is the guy who is running everything behind the scenes. Patrushev was Putin's KGB buddy. Okay, so if Patrushev was involved, it means that this is something serious. Okay, and this is all biblical, guys. The Bible says in the end times, Russia and Iran will form an alliance, and then they'll try to attack Israel during the tribulation period in the Gog Magog attack on Israel. And Hezbollah launched 2 missiles at an Israeli army base in Shabah Fields, which is part of the UN Blue Zone. And a short while ago, Israeli air defenses launched an interceptor missile towards a suspected target in the Upper Galilee on the border with Lebanon, according to Israeli media. Okay, so Hezbollah and Israel are again trading fire. And apparently, large Israeli military reinforcements have been sent to the Golan Heights on the border with Syria. There were some pictures going around social media showing Israeli tanks and armored vehicles being moved to the Golan Heights. And the European Central Bank has asked some banks to monitor closely activity on social media to detect a worsening in sentiment, which could lead to a bank run. 2 banking executives with knowledge of the request told Reuters. So this is very serious, guys. The European Central Bank is worried of bank runs, and they're asking banks to monitor social media to see if there's any indications of a bank run. Okay, so things are not looking good economically in Europe and in the US. And today, throughout Poland, farmers have taken part in a nationwide protest against the duty-free import of Ukrainian food. They're basically mad that cheap Ukrainian food is being imported, and it's putting Polish farmers out of business. And China has claimed the Paracel and Spratly Islands in the South China Sea as Chinese territory. The Chinese Foreign Ministry on Wednesday said China's claims to the Paracel and Spratly Islands in the South China Sea were backed by history, after Vietnam over the weekend repeated it had sufficient evidence to claim sovereignty over the islands. Vietnam has full legal basis and ample historical evidence to assert its sovereignty over the 2 island chains, its foreign ministry said on Saturday. In response to a query from the media on China's invasion of the Paracel Islands in 1974, Vietnam's sovereignty over the Hong Sa Islands has been established since at least the 17th century in accordance with international law, and exercised in a peaceful, continuous, and public manner by successive Vietnamese states, it said. But the Chinese Foreign Ministry said China's claims are fully supported by history and jurisprudence. China was the first to discover, name, develop, and manage these islands and archipelagos, and continue to exercise sovereign jurisdiction over them, said Wang Wenbin, a Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson, at a regular news conference. China always opposes relevant countries' illegal claims on China's territory and will continue to firmly safeguard its sovereignty. And here's one of the islands here, okay, that China has built up. You can see all these facilities here, all this infrastructure. Here we have some footage coming out of Poland showing these Polish farmers taking to the streets, taking to the roads with their tractors in protest of the cheap Ukrainian goods that are coming in, cheap Ukrainian food, and it's putting them out of business, okay? And they're also protesting the European Union and all the various new farming laws that they have that are making it more difficult for farmers to survive, okay? Especially a lot of their climate change laws, their taxes on diesel fuel. So the situation in Europe is continuing to get worse and worse. I'm going to monitor all of these events for you and update you again later on tonight. So make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell icon below so you get notified when I post these updates. And until next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.